Hello, I'm Afton Hassett. I'm a clinical psychologist and an associate professor at the University of Michigan. I'm delighted to be here today to talk to you a little bit about resilience and pain. All right. So, we begin with the notion that pain is processed in the brain, and it's not a straightforward process. There are many aspects that'll feed into the experience of pain. It could be memories, feelings, thoughts, your story, your experiences, your level of stress, and all of these factors impact how you actually physically feel pain. And what's more, pain doesn't occur in a vacuum. It's incredibly complex. So, most people who have chronic pain also report having other symptoms that might even be more troubling than the pain itself. So, here too, um, sleep can impact it, um, emotions can impact it, and cognitions can impact pain. And because this is so common, my colleague Dave Williams at the University of Michigan has even coined an acronym known as SPACE to describe these five symptoms that go together in almost any illness condition. And the first, as I mentioned, is sleep. So when you have poor sleep, that can really adversely impact your pain. It can make pain much worse. Pain itself can affect sleep. So that's the S and the P in space. The third letter, A, is affect, or what refers to our emotions. So when you're depressed or anxious, your pain can feel worse, but so can your sleep be disrupted. So your emotions can impact sleep and pain. And then the fourth really important element of the space series is cognitions, or how we think. When you have an illness, you might notice that your concentration can be thrown off. If you have the flu or a cold or an autoimmune disease, you might say, oh my gosh, I can't think like I used to. I have difficulties with concentration and word finding. So that's the fourth of the space symptoms. And finally, what I think often is reported to me is almost worse than the pain is the E symptom. That's energy or lack of energy, fatigue. So sleep, pain, affect or emotions, cognitions, and energy or fatigue all clump together. But what's wonderful, because these are all processed in the brain, if you impact one of these five symptoms or impact some of these other processes like emotions, thoughts, memories, your experiences, you can impact pain. So it's very, very powerful how all these things interconnect that can actually make us be more successful in coping with our pain. So I am a pain psychologist. I think a lot about how stress and depression and anxiety can impact the experience of pain or even your sleep and your mood. But I'm also incredibly interested in resilience. And resilience is the notion that bad things happen in all of our lives. Often very, very terrible things happen. And what resilience is our ability to bounce back. As Nietzsche said, that which does not kill me will make me stronger. And we don't tend to be people who have resilience or don't have resilience. We all have different levels, and maybe it's different on a different day. So some people are prone to having low levels of resilience. It's hard for them to cope in the world, and it feels very overwhelming. A small thing can just feel incredibly impossible. But I think most of us tend to have moderate levels of resilience, that we're pretty good at going with the flow. Bad things happen and we could get set back a little bit, but we gather our resources and our friends and we can bounce back. Other people are just highly resilient. It's quite surprising. And I see this subset in people with chronic pain in almost any condition that I study, that there's this 20% of people that are so resilient and they bounce back after trauma and things that happen in their lives, but also well in the face of injury and pain. So those highly resilient people are fascinating to study because perhaps we can learn from them and share with others. And then there's those at the far end, those that thrive despite having bad things happen, those who thrive in the face of pain, in loss, of illness. And they are fascinating to study too, because when we learn from them, we can pass this along. And people who thrive tend to live life that is even better and more rewarding than before the bad thing happened. So, why should we care about resilience and thriving in chronic pain? It's simple. The data tell us that people who are more resilient are less likely to have chronic pain. They're less likely to have widespread pain in many areas of the body. They tend to use less medication, they tend to have lower levels of disability, and they report having just lives that are more enriched and positive, and that they're able to function in their day-to-day lives. And then luckily, they have less sleep impairment and depression, as these symptoms all overlap. So resilient people across the five space symptoms just said tend to do better. And they tend to have better kind of psychological adjustment. They tend to catastrophize or feel less helpless in their pain. They feel more able to deal with their pain. And they use very active coping strategies when bad things come along. So how do we build resilience, right? If this is a great thing, what do we do? So there's many things, but I'm just going to focus today on one small bit of research that I'm interested in and I think is really useful because we can apply these things in our lives. So the area is called positive activity interventions. These are evidence-based small activities that can be done by anybody without a therapist, without help, to actually improve functioning, mood, levels of pain, sleep, and just about everything else, and also includes increasing their experiences of our lives. So positive activity interventions include things like keeping a gratitude journal, conducting random acts of kindness, engaging with friends, and planning to go out and do things and make your life, even pushing you out to do things that you enjoy doing in your life, and simple things like savoring, like enjoying a moment or an experience. So let's talk about each of these kind of in turn. um, I say we care about positive activity interventions because the data are there. Just like for resilience, when we look at the scientific literature, why should we bother with resilience or positive activities interventions? It's because these things can help improve our experience of pain. So conducting little positive activity interventions like keeping a gratitude journal or doing acts of kindness has been associated with people who have less pain intensity, who have fewer depressive symptoms, are less likely to catastrophize the experience of pain and feel more empowered. They're less likely to have negative emotions like depression and anxiety. And they tend to have just more positive emotions. Positive emotions like joy and contentment and calm often buffer negative emotions. So we don't kind of have negative emotions or positive emotions. We tend to have a balance of both. And having some positive emotions on board in the face of having negative emotions can do a lot. And what's really cool is these little interventions like a gratitude journal or savoring a beautiful day. These have long-term effects. So if you're just to do this for a few times a week, it shows that you can have benefits that go out even 3 months. So let's talk about what these little interventions are. So the best known is pleasant activity scheduling. This is where you put something on your calendar and without fail, you will do this, right? This is like scheduling a doctor's appointment, but this is for you to do something that makes you happy. You can do this once a week. You can do it 3 to 5 days a week, which is what we kind of recommend. And it could be something simple like just going out leaf peeping with your friend or buying a small gift for a loved one, getting a massage, watching your favorite show. It can be anything, but it's just taking the time to engage in what you love to do. We often put aside the things that we love to do for the things that we have to do. So that's one. Another is intentionally connecting with others. This can be meeting with, just every day for the next week, finding somebody new that you've always wanted to talk to and engaging with that person, and just very intentionally going out and doing that once a day. Or it could be finding somebody that you really enjoy speaking to and spending time with them every day, right? So the way the intervention might work is that you do both over, say, a week's period of time. You make a new connection and chat with that person, and then you reach out to somebody that you know. And at the end of every day, reflect. What was that like for you? How did it go? And who will you chat with the next day? Conducting random acts of kindness. This is simple. This is going out and just doing something that's kind. It could be paying somebody a compliment. It can be sharing. It can be sharing your lunch with somebody. It can be giving somebody a hug. It can be just about anything. But conducting 5 random acts of kindness in one day has been shown to have the best boost in your emotions. Texting to connect. This is one of my favorite things to do. Go to the bottom of your texts list on your phone, pick somebody that you've not spoken to in a long time and send them a note. Say, hey, just thinking about you. It's been a long time since we connected. If you have a picture of the two of you doing something fun from a couple years ago, send that. But just every day, reach out to one person by text. It's an easy thing to do, and you'll be surprised who you hear back from. Another thing that I suggest that all of our patients and my students do is keep a gratitude journal. Every day, write down 3 things that you're grateful for, and try to write down 3 different things every day. You can do this for 30 days. You could do this for a year, but just write down the things that you're grateful for. It can only be a couple of words, and try to write down different things, because by the 7th day that you're doing this, you'll be really thinking, really searching for things that you're grateful for. And that's a good thing. You'll be grateful for those chocolate chip cookies or that walk in the park, but make notes of that. Another great thing to do is savoring. When you find yourself in a moment where you're feeling particularly happy, just say, wow, pause. This moment is great. What are you feeling, smelling, thinking? Who's with you? Use your senses. Be mindful in that moment and tell yourself, make this moment last. Savoring is very powerful. You can practice it just by, for the next week, savor 2 experiences a day and maybe make a note at the end of the day what it was like for you. Another favorite thing that I suggest that our patients do is notice when good things happen. This is kind of like savoring, but it's just to be more aware. We as humans search the world for threat. You have to be a little bit more intentional to search the world for joy. So become more aware of the things that go right in your life, the things that make you happy or where you feel grateful. This is kind of putting all those skills together into practice. When you notice these things that are happening, savor them. Right? Take it in. Spend a moment to lock it into your memory. And a way that we've suggested that people do this is by keeping a positive piggy bank. You can kind of combine all of these interventions into one. What this means is you don't have to have a piggy bank. You can have a box or a jar. Put some scraps of paper and a pen by the box or the jar or the piggy bank. Put it in your kitchen where you see it. And every day, write down the things that happened throughout the day that might have made you happy or grateful. Write it down in a little currency slip, fold it up, and put it in the piggy bank. Write it down with enough detail that you'll know what it is later. And after like 30 days or 90 days, close your account by opening up all those little slips that you put in your piggy bank. Open them up and enjoy those moments and remember. And music. Who doesn't love music? Create a playlist. Think about the things the moments in your life that you most enjoyed, and listen to music to boost your mood. I'm from the Motor City, or close to the area here, and music holds a special place in our hearts. So allow music to lift your mood. And then finally, I put all this together in my book, Chronic Pain Reset. This is my pandemic project that I wrote for people with chronic pain and lived experience. So you could try all these activities, skills, and practice, plus another 15 more, and learn about the pain neuroscience that I talked to a little bit at the beginning of this session. So, I hope you'll, take a look at this, but I'm also happy to answer questions. You can reach out to me at afton@umich.edu. Happy to talk to you about your resilience building journey. And one last thing too, I also am the host of a podcast by the same name as the book, Chronic Pain Reset. You'll hear exciting conversations with fascinating pain researchers in the field. This is Dr. Dan Claw. He's one of the leading thinkers about chronic pain in the world, and my colleague at the University of Michigan. But you'll hear from fascinating patient advocates like Ulia Mandel, who is the former spokesperson for President Vladimir Zelensky, who is somebody who has suffered with chronic pain and found the way through the other side, incredibly powerful. And Ben Aarons, another wellness advocate and supporter. So please do check out the podcast and learn about some exciting stories. So I appreciate your time and your attention, and it's been nice spending a few minutes with you.